We are entering our first conversation, and we're joined with Mr. Howell Gillett, who is the Belize Regional Commander. Oh, did I get that correct, Mr. Gillett?
Well, in policing terms, it's Eastern Division Regional Commander.
All right.
A lot more words, though.
Yes.
You want to give me something short for say?
Because it's Belize City and the Belize District.
Okay, the Eastern Division.
Yes, the Eastern Division.
Yes.
So we just say East Div.
Okay, yes, we're not. Anyway, good morning, Mr. Gillett. How are you this morning? And welcome to our couch.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Good morning, TV viewers. It's a great opportunity to be here to explain what we're doing to reduce crime in Belize City and the Belize District.
All right, so first and foremost, welcome back too. Because yes, we know you've been away. So coming back now, could you tell us what was found before we enter into what you will be doing? What level of crime would you say that you came in upon, and how do you plan to progress forward?
Well, if you could remember, about 2 weeks ago, there were a number of murders within the city. What is different now than the first time is that it's a larger area for me. At that time, it was only the south side, but now it's the entire district and the city, so including the Keys. So you have more officers to spread your influence. My thinking is, for years, we've been doing two things, and we aren't getting the results that we were supposed to get. One, I have this feeling that we were working to arrest our problems away, and it never went with time. And the other thing, when an officer was doing poorly, we use the punishment system. But under my leadership, the officers who are doing well, we reward them with the hope and trust that those who are on the other side will come on board. So we are trying to look after officers in many areas, because we want to show them that the leadership cares. And in so doing, we believe that will transcend into more officers giving more of themselves in a timely fashion. So that is the way we are. It's a balancing act, though. We want officers to have the basics. We want the public to know that the police does care, and we're doing our best to have that relationship. So when an officer goes out and infringe on the rights of a citizen, we take it very seriously. There is zero tolerance under my leadership for corruption or for police abuse. Any complaint that is brought to our notice is dealt with immediately with the view to bring closure to it. So officers who do well will be rewarded. Officers who find themselves on the wrong side will be dealt with in the same manner that we reward the ones who do well. And we believe in that, and we'll be fair. There's no one police officer that I care over the other one. Everybody is equal, and we will treat them that way. So I believe that will net some result in the near future. What is different now? There are many officers who have some kind of personal issue, some kind of moral issue, and we have to take it serious.
Right.
Yes, we can't be this rigid, hierarchical type organization where we don't listen to the person, because these are the ones who are out there for us every single day. So while we do well for police, and if you allow me, I will tell you some of the things that we will do for them. This week right here, we will receive some fuel cards. You know, fuel is high at this time, and then we want to reward our officers. Some people say, but how about civilians? But I can't be worried about others like that. I have to worry about the officers who serve with us. So we're looking after them. We'll get some cards, and I want officers to know that the card won't go to each and every police officer. You have to, it's a merit-based system. Yes, you have to earn it, because there's not sufficient to give to the amount of officers here in Eastern Division. So that is one thing. We've already signed an agreement with the pharmacy that police officers will get up to 10%, and then we are working with a fuel station to a long-term one that police officers will see a percentage discount when they go to the fuel station.
So there's definitely incentives coming
yes,
as rewards.
And I believe if we do those things and change the environment that they work in, I won't be able to tell you exactly what I've found, but we are working on it so that officers could feel good when they come to work. And I believe that appreciation will lead to other things.
Mr. Gillett, when you think about what is doing good, what would you describe that in police behavior for people out there? Because I think people could say a million and one things, but what would warrant you to be able to be rewarded in the first place?
Well, it has to be, first of all, you have to have good conduct. And we will know because you'll see officers come to work on time, they'll follow up on their investigations, the way they treat the public. And this leads me to tell you that we're working with one of the universities to have training in communication skills. That's an area that we're doing poorly in, and I will be the first to admit it. So that will come on board very, very soon, and I will try to, we will try to get officers from across our region to be involved, because nobody should be answering the phone. You know, you need to address yourself, say your name and which precinct you represent. When the police comes into contact with any person any member of the public, that experience has to be a positive, memorable one. And we will work on that. It's years of what we're experiencing, so we have to work on it. It will take some time, but we have to start. We're also in dialogue with 2 bus companies to see if we could get some discount for police officers traveling on the road. It's a shame to see our officers hitchhiking. Hitchhiking is begging. It's asking for a free ride. And I don't want officers have to be put in that position to be asking for.
And that warrants a lot of other things, because
yes.
The minute an officer is begging for something, what you are giving me in return, and you know that how the whole corruption, hand wash hand kind of thing can start to just begin just like that.
I've been put in situations before where they ask for money and things like that, and I feel so incredibly awkward after that. Okay, I do understand a little reward system there. Mr. Gillett, I want to, however, get into your community outreach. You've been going out, and I see that you've been in Mayflower. I've seen that you've taken the pastors or the religious leaders to Flamboyant Street in that area there. Could you tell us some of the concerns that some of these members of the community have?
Well, sadly, people are saying, I don't feel confident in sharing information with police officers, because at times we hear back that who reported it, and that's why there's this fear to report to the police. So we have to work on that, because there are community members like these ladies who we've formed this group with. Women play an integral part in any society, in the home and in the community. So we will work with them, because they yield great power within the home. So we want to have these people on our side, to work with them to fight crime in these areas. Somebody said, sir, do you expect mothers to snitch on their kids? No, I don't expect that. But I want you to work with us to de-escalate these problems. I don't believe that the police officer who goes out to do operations are the same ones who have to go to you to negotiate with any gang member. And that's why we asked the church to come along, and there's no relationship between the church and that community. But we will extend it to other communities. And then we have places like the modification unit, behavior modification. We have the leadership intervention unit. Those are the ones who should be doing the talking with these people, while we focus on showing the public that we're serious about narrowing the gap between the police and the community. And that's what we will do, while those other things in tandem. Somebody said, sir, you are highly community-oriented. And I will say yes, with pride. I've been trained in England, and that's the way it goes in London, in the city, and in all the other precincts within the UK itself. It net results, just that it doesn't come on overnight. So if there's an upsurge in crime, there's no 2 ways that we will have to be operational. But we don't come here on any talk show to speak of our operations. It's like your general manager Jews. He won't come here and say how much salary you're making. That's something that's not spoken of. It's the same thing with policing. We can't come here and speak of our operational plans, but we could come and show you what we're doing for the community to make it safer. And I'm telling you by experience, we've tried it in Belmopan in 2014 to 2018, and we were able to reduce crime by 52%.
Wow.
We tried it in the south side of Belize City in 2018 and 19, and in 10 months' time, we were able to reduce crime by 11%. So when I said I'm thrilled to be here, I really mean it, because I know we could turn around things for the city, but it has to take all of society. We need the community with us, so we cannot be seen as abusers. We need all officers on board. There's a principle that says 20% of the staff does 80% of the job. Well, we want to tap into the 80% to come across to the 20% so that we have more officers who are willing to go the extra mile for us. And I think strategically, if we do all of these things that I've mentioned, we will have a greater city. And not only city, because people say, but you're forgetting the rural. Yes, we recently met with most of the chairpersons from the Belize district. And they are telling us, you see, in policing, you must police by consent. It cannot be you finding a fix for the community. The community needs to tell you, you know what, these are our issues.
Yeah.
And this is the way we want to help you. It's not only to get information from the public, it's to work with them to make the community safer.
Essentially.
Crime, one last thing, crime, yes, we want to reduce crime, that's our foremost importance, but we also want to reduce the fear of crime. Because if people are living in fear to come on, for example, Albert Street, then that will affect the economy. So we must do our part to reduce the fear of crime. And how do we do that? It has to be high visibility, meaningful patrols, not one where the glass are rolled up and AC is on with music. We stop and speak with people, and then we need to cut down on our response time. So if there's a complaint, somebody must know within 5 to 10 minutes, a police officer will be here at my house. For example, yesterday, some police officers went to do a house search. The person said, I have no problem with a search being done, but I noticed that the police are in civilian clothing and they came in a taxi.
Oh, wow.
So I immediately sent for help, but it was genuine police work, but they wanted, it was a target for drugs, so they went differently so that they didn't see them coming in a police vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was legitimate, and we were glad it was done.
Mr. Gillett, now I understand the whole community process. You're engaging with the community to try to help curb the crime, and it has shown the results that you've said before. However, there was last week, I understand you received some criticisms about engaging with the minors and taking them to the prison, having them searched, kind of ultimately making them feel
like
a
criminals?
bit like criminals. What was the purpose of that, and could there have been anything done differently, more positive, to have a more positive influence?
Well, we have more positive coming up. We're working with a bank to get some junior savings for young people on our side in Belize City. But taking these kids to the prison is to show them what the end product of crime on the streets. These kids are seeing a number of things on the street, worse than visiting the prison. We have to face reality. To me, the comments were balanced, but yes, we need to show kids what will happen if you follow those who are above you or who are before you in age and behavior. So we wanted to show them and dissuade them from that life. When I saw what happened in prison, what you have to go through, rigorous search more than one time, I don't want to be a part of that. That's what our end goal was.
To give it like a wake-up call kind of thing?
Yes.
Reality.
But there are many other positive things that will occur with time. But
in terms of the search, and sorry, legal mind coming to effect here, but in order to search a minor, wouldn't you need the consent of parents?
Yes, that is correct.
So this was done with the consent of parents? Or?
Yes.
All right, and in terms
they had to sign a consent form.
So the parents were involved in the actual
so they are allowed,
Okay.
so they wanted that to happen. I think that's the idea of the whole involvement of community, where parents like I know my child needs to understand how this system works or whatever. So I guess that's why the consent was given, so they can be able to understand, this is the life that you get into if you choose.
But if you notice and follow the news, the age of young people who are committing crime, and serious crime too. So Dr. Gale said the formative years for a child is 8 to 15. But it's bothersome to me that it could be a little earlier. In Belize.
But that's the truth, because remember, with the same religious leaders that you met with, a lot of times the gang leaders and the gang representatives that were talking there said, it's these young boys that are doing most of the crimes.
Of course.
And so how do we talk about the involvement of these juveniles, these young people in gang warfare? Because most of the times it's not really the big gang members that are doing this, the older ones, it's the young ones that are being sent out with a gun, first kill, all these things. So how do we combat this? How is the involvement for that?
Well, we have to, parenting is an issue, not only in the Belize district, but in other parts of the country and the world. We have to work with mothers, but what is alarming and frightening to me is that when COVID hit, I cannot produce the exact numbers because it's unofficial, but there are many people in the hundreds, many young people who have not gone back to school. What will happen in 5 years from now?
Right.
So we have to partner with other stakeholders to try and locate these young people and have them reintegrate back into the school system. Because on the street, you learn from those who live the street life. So, and it bolsters my point that taking these kids from these at-risk areas was a good thing for us and for the kids, to let them see firsthand, this is what you go through if you live a life of crime. And thereby, if you listen to the little boy who spoke, he said he would never want to be there as a result of what he saw. So to me, that is positive. And critics, you will have that. You do well.
Definitely.
I see when we post that we're getting fuel for discounts for police officers, people are saying, well, why do it only for police? But we are police officers, so we have to take. Of course, there are citizens that but we can't put that on the TV. We'll get hampers, but other food items we'll send to certain needy families. But that's not something that we showcase.
Well, actually, it is. I like the Facebook page. I've always bigged up the Facebook page with that because it's showing that community policing. And I see that sometimes they go to the community with, like you said, the hampers or the grocery baskets or all of these things. So I really commend the police department on that. You touched a while ago on the mothers. And the mothers, like you said, women play an integral part in any community. In terms of grieving mothers, those who, some of them, I think you said it earlier, oh, well, you know what, I know I snitched for my son, but at the same time, when my son got out, they go do something and get killed in that process. I guess the news sensationalizes that, right? I understand you had a conversation or conversations with mothers from the community. Could you tell us what insights or what occurred or what jumped out to you from these conversations?
Well, our message was clear to the mothers. You must do something in your area. You wield a great amount of power within the home and the community. The mothers were told, if your son goes out and shoots at another person's house, then of course there'll be retaliation that come back to you. So you need to work with your kids, especially the boys, so that there's not this never-ending cycle. Because if you shoot at me, I will send somebody to shoot at you. And it has been going on for long. We were formed in 1866, and ever since then we've been arresting people. And then every year we try to keep murders below 100. We fight very hard to do that. So it's telling you we need to tweak around what we do. And I believe if we have the support, because there's a saying, I don't know who said it, and it's unfair for me to use it without, something goes like it says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So when people see you as a light in a positive way, you will get better results. And I'm telling you, not only from Belize's experience, but from the countries that I have been to work and study, it shows that it does work. But in tandem, we cannot just be nice to people, because community policing is not only about giving out stuff to the community. It's the way we treat people when they come into our contact, whether by a victim or a culprit. Because if you come into the station for a charge, you'll be charged. And that experience is that, one, they didn't chance me, they didn't infringe on my rights. I was told everything, and the police were professional. That hate between the police and the community won't exist. So we have to work on it, though, because it's an age-old problem, a complaint from the public, and we're working on it. So I'm happy to be back in Belize City. It's not anybody will tell you that they're happy to be here. It's the toughest job in the police department, apart from being a commissioner. It's the hardest area of policing, but it's doable. And there has to be that aspect of God involved in it. So the right thing was to get these pastors, because I will tell you up front, these gang members won't be going in a church unless they see a young girl thereafter, or there's a funeral for another gang member. So the church needed to come out, and I'm happy that they came out in such numbers, representing 12 different denominations. And then there's this relationship between them. I believe they're adopting some of these young men to speak with them on a daily basis, give them a Bible verse. So while they're doing that, we'll be monitoring our operations. Like, for example, there were some robberies in the Mahogany Street area, maybe a week and change. Today is the 9th day since we haven't had any, which we are happy for. But we had to tweak around the way we do business. But that is something that we cannot tell the public.
Yeah.
But we are doing it with the view to lower crime in that area, and not only in that area, but in other parts of the city and the district itself.
So,
right.
But mothers, like the question the mothers, they're cooperative. We have now a chat group, and they are very active on it, wanting to see better for it. Some of the mothers said, "Sir, it's been too long. We've seen so many sons and nephews and uncles who have died."
Lost, right?
Yes, so we're happy for this, and then we will extend it, because we'll involve the LIU who has that mandate to deal with that. We start the process, they're the ones who will continue the process for us. And that will give us more time to do other things within our jurisdiction.
I'm looking forward to the results of all of your intervention. I mean, you're coming in again, you're the Eastern Division Commander at this point, and it seems as if though, yes, you have full on just went head on into community policing and trying to get the feedback from the actual community instead of just going and saying, you know what, enforce, with force, of course. So I'm really looking forward to that.
One thing I would be remiss if I don't say, the way we want to, or not want to, but how we're approaching crime. We're approaching it at the level where it's been caused. Because many times we are just arresting, which is just a symptom level. So we are trying to there's a leadership story that was taught to us that says there were some kids coming down a stream, and all the men who were at a function, they jump into the stream and taking out babies. And then one of the men came out and said, you know what, what we're doing here is good, but it's not good enough. I'll go where the babies are being deposited. And it is on that principle that we want to police Belize City and the Belize District, treat crime as a disease and get after the things that are causing crime. Yes, there are some that the police cannot, like the infrastructure in some of these communities, we cannot do a lot in that area, but there are other areas like getting back kids to school, or we will reintroduce the GREAT program, because it was stopped due to COVID, but that will come back. We'll work back with the cadet groups within all the communities. We will do sporting activities for young people. So there are many things on the table for us to do for our communities, and I believe when we engage, because somebody said once, idle minds are the devil workshop. So we want to keep our young people fully engaged. This practice of mothers telling boys, get up when you get hurt, that has to stop, because that has a long-term effect in terms of negative emotion.
Masculinity.
Yeah,
yes, the other thing why the gap is wide between the police and the community, and we're working our very best to try to close the gap. But for example, mothers will tell their kids if they don't want to drink a bottle or a medication, if you don't drink it, I'll call the police. So from a very early age, that young person is exposed to hate against the police. They see you as the enemy, and that has to stop. But it's been there for long. It is now that we need to work on it. And I believe if we work on those things, we'll net better results in the very near future. I am looking towards a turnaround within at least the next 6 months in Belize City. We should be able to see. Well, I'm thankful to God that what we've put in place, those things are working, and we are seeing a downturn in crime. The year started off bad for us as police officers, but we want to turn it around to finish the year in a better position than how we started.
Right. Definitely. Well, Commander, you've said a lot. You clearly do have the idea of, bringing everybody involved and making sure as well their voices and concerns are being heard, and you can be able to work with that. As viewers at home know that it's not only on the police officers to do this job, it's on you as well as mothers out there. I'm glad to know that there's a whole WhatsApp group and they're very supportive, because there will be one or two that don't want to deal with it, but there are going to be a multiple amount of mothers that want to see their child, flourish. They want to see them excel. They want to see them have a bright future. I don't think any parent wakes up and wants a child to end up in a prison or anything like that. So if you can work with them, community members, I know it's a hard time to build trust, and I know the trust has been broken so many times because they have tried to build it and then it broke off again. But see if you can have one little push left in you to see if you can try it one more time and see where we can go from there, because it's all based on our community efforts to get this machine running the way it's supposed to run. And it won't happen overnight. It will probably get possibly better in 6 months, but the solution is there, and we're going to be having to work to get the real results over the years to come, because it's mentalities that need to be changed, behaviors that need to be changed, and love that needs to just start to flow. And so all of that not happening in one day. So again, thank you so much, Commander, for shedding light on how you see things are right now, and also seeing how we have an open invitation to people and the public to be able to go and reach out and see how they can be a part of it as well and make sure their impact is heard. And so with that, we go to our next commercial break.